Since I was a kid, I've basically been obsessed with morning routines. And fast forward more than 20 years later, at age 31, and I've copied almost all of them, from Tim Ferriss to Ryan Holiday, and I've never found a routine that's really stuck until I discovered the work of Andrew Huberman. Thanks to his research in neuroscience and the awesome tools he shares on his podcast called Huberman Lab, I've developed a morning routine that finally works for me, and I've stuck to it for over a year. It's helped improve my sleep, manage my stress and anxiety, increase my productivity, and made me a happier person overall. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do, even before getting dressed, is have a couple glasses of water with a hint of sea salt for electrolytes. We tend to wake up fairly dehydrated after sleeping for 7, 8, 9 hours, so it's super important just to get some hydration in your body right away. It's simple and barely takes any time at all. And the next step is to view bright light as soon as possible. So if it's still dark outside, I turn on all the lights in my house and a 10,000 lux lamp. If it's light outside, I go for a 5 to 10 minute walk on the sunny days or 20 to 30 minute walk on the cloudy days in order to get more light in my eyes. This is super important for your circadian rhythm. The next thing I do after that is moderate to intense exercise, either in the form of a run or an exercise session at the gym. We all know the benefits of exercise on our mood and overall well-being, but doing so early in the morning really helps with the timing of our cortisol pulse. And that's responsible for setting the level of our alertness, our mood, and our focus throughout the day. After exercising, I do cold exposure. Most of the time, I go for a shower because it's just convenient and more time effective, but every once in a while, I'll treat myself to a cold plunge outdoors. And this has the added benefit of just spending a little bit more time in nature, and I find it has a more powerful effect than a cold shower. Cold exposure is associated with the release of adrenaline and dopamine, which basically helps wake you up in the morning and makes you feel good and calm and present throughout the day. After cold exposure, I'm usually pretty cold, so I like to make a cup of coffee in order to warm up. For years, I've needed to have caffeine first thing in the morning in order to function, and this becomes problematic because it reduces your natural cortisone production, which impacts your sleep and alertness throughout the day. It's definitely quite difficult, but delaying your caffeine intake, as Andrew recommends, from 1.5 to 2 hours upon waking up definitely provides more stable energy throughout the day. Along with my first cup of coffee, I usually begin my work sessions for the day. So I'm a photographer and filmmaker, and generally my days are either out in the field shooting or sort of an office day at home on my computer. Andrew recommends doing tasks in this first work session of the day that are linear. So for me, that's answering emails, doing logistical planning, organizing footage and clips, and all the stuff I don't really love to do. And a work bout later in the day is typically reserved for non-linear tasks that are more creative. And this is the stuff I love, like editing, brainstorming, and writing for future videos. Up until this point in the day, usually around noon, I have practiced intermittent fasting, and then I'll finally break my fast with a meal that is higher in protein and fat versus carbs in order to avoid feeling sleepy and tired. Through a lot of experimentation the past few years, I've taken a lot of his science-based tools and adapted them and applied them to my lifestyle and figured out what works best for me. I think it's healthy to deviate from this routine 1 or 2 times a week in order to just go out and live and have fun and be less strict with the routine in general. If anything I mentioned in this video interests you, I definitely suggest listening to Andrew's podcast called Huberman Lab to learn more about the science behind these tools. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe for more videos.